Race 125cc Outdoor Motocross Series.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Drever, along with Davey Coombs, and we're getting set for the action here at Binghampton, New York, where at this point in the season, it really comes down to just 4 riders who can take away the championship. Steve Lamson, Ryan Hughes, Mike Brown, and Damon Huffman. Remember those names? They're the guys that are going to be watching here. But I'm going to put you on the spot, Davey. Who do you like at this track here today?
Well, I have to say Ryan Hughes. Whenever the circuit comes back to this part of the country, Ryan always does really well. Earlier in the year, he won both motos at the Unadilla National. One thing Ryan's got to be careful, though, is his bad starts. At this point in the season, he could lose a lot of ground really quick.
We'll be keeping an eye on him. But what about Mike Brown? The guy won last week. He's got to be sky high, and he's on a tear.
Yeah, Mike is a back east boy. He's from Tennessee. I know he's ridden this track a lot as an amateur, and his confidence level is really high right now. You know, the neat thing about Brown and Hughes is that one of those guys could go in the record books as the first true privateer to ever win an AMA National Motocross Championship.
All right, well, we've alluded to the fact that this track might be just a little bit like Unadilla. So let's take a look at the course map.
Well, there's 2 things about this track. There's a lot of rocks and there's a lot of jumps, but the riders like it, the fans love it.
Let's check with the third member of our broadcast team. Here's Art Ekman.
As Hughes, Brown, and Lamson battle it down to the wire for the 125 crown, there are several prominent riders returning this week from injury who might have a lot to say as to which rider will win the 1995 championship. Tim Ferry, Kevin Windham, and Pedro Gonzalez, to name 3, are hoping to make their mark before the season's end, complicating things for the championship contenders.
Yeah, I definitely need to come back with some good rides this year and, mess up the points. I don't know. I'm just going to try to get up there and get in the lead. It's been a while since I rode, and, my drive's better than ever now. I haven't rode many races this year. Had a really bad season, bad luck with mono, and so on. It really zapped me down, and I didn't have, the best of rides, and, so now I'm just trying to have 2 good the last 2 really good, and have a good season, maybe add a little bit to my season next year, have a little bit of mind game.
For the Mexican champion and top 5 Supercross finisher Pedro Gonzalez, injuries have put his future on the line.
I just changed bike. I lost my ride from this year, and I just got a new bike, and I'm going to try to the last 2 races to try to get my rhythm back and try to show some people that that I can do it, and to convince myself that I can do it too.
Tim Ferry, with 3 moto wins and 1 overall victory to his credit this year, will be testing a sore thumb today. It's a miracle that's all that was seriously hurt after this body-to-bike collision at Troy, Ohio.
Just to prove myself and prove that I can win to myself and to Suzuki. And I got 2 championships pretty much taken away this year that I could have had. They were really close to me, and I have to come back, do my best, try to win some motos, maybe get an overall before the series is over, and hopefully come back and win both of them.
These 3 are anxious to take on the spoilers role after missing a combined total of 28 motos this season.
One guy who hasn't had quite that serious a problem, although he's had a few bad starts, some crashes, he's been very, very consistent, is Ryan Hughes on the Kawasaki here, 3rd on this racetrack in the 125 2 years ago. 24-year-old Steve Lamson out of California, Honda mounted. He's never been a champion in the 125 class, but he's in the hunt this year.
Lamson started out 61 points in the hole. He DNF'd moto at Gainesville and 2 motos at Sacramento, and he's only now just getting back into the hunt.
The 30-second board being displayed to the riders here, and they'll be underway in a matter of moments as the board goes sideways, and the 125cc National Championship Series next to last round is underway. A whole gaggle of riders getting out, but the one who gets the whole shot, Ryan Hughes on the Kawasaki, and a little bobble there at the start, but he holds on to the lead.
That's surprising. Hughes isn't the best starter in the 125cc class, but with the small points cushion he has, he's going to need all the advantage he can get here at Binghampton.
Well, we also see Mike Brown in the hunt there, Michael Brandis and Mike Craig, and everybody chasing the leader, number 9, Ryan Hughes, out to the good start, and he's building a little bit of a lead here, even this early in the race.
You can see by the track here, Jack Skutnick and his crew at Binghampton have put together a lot of jumps, and over the years this race has gotten really popular with the people in Western New York, and I think they have a record crowd here today. It certainly looks like it.
Mike Brown challenging for the lead there, trying to get his Honda on the inside, loses a spot there to number 53, Michael Brandis, but it is still Ryan Hughes out in front. We're just underway here in Binghampton, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
The AMA 125cc Motocross Series on ESPN.
This week's Suzuki Flashback, and go to Binghampton 1 year ago for the 125cc National.
Motocross Series on ESPN.
This week's Suzuki Flashback and go to Binghamton. And 1 year ago for the 125cc national title, but that was then, and this is now. Ryan Hughes trying to duplicate Henry's effort here in Binghamton. Let's check in with Art Ekman. He's with Rhino's tuner, Wyatt Seals.
Well, Wyatt, there's one characteristic of Ryan Hughes, and that is that he doesn't mind being out in the lead.
No, but definitely he rides on the edge a lot, and that's just his character. You know, he got a good start, and I know he's hanging it out, you know, in spots, and some places seems to be kind of cautious. Lamson's on the move for sure. Lamson's got some good lines out there, so I just I got to keep him going, and I hope it pays off.
Well, he mentioned Steve Lamson. Lamson's a ways back, but check out Michael Brandis here challenging in second spot.
You know, Brandis is an amateur rider, or rather I should say a Pro-Am. Just 2 weeks ago, he was riding down in Tennessee at Loretta Lynn's in the AMA Amateur National Championships, and this has to be the highlight of his pro career, riding this close to Ryan Hughes at this moment.
Well, he isn't really in contact, but he is certainly in second place. There we see the rest of the field coming along behind. Ryan Hughes out in front, and so far it's all Rhino.
You know, one thing to keep an eye on with Hughes is he's getting ready to ride the Motocross of the Nations in Slovakia next week, or rather in 2 weeks, I should say. And the word is that he's been practicing on a 500 out in California. Now, whether that affects his stamina or even his technique on the 125 remains to be seen. So we'll have to see how Ryan does in the rest of the moto here.
Doing a good job of throwing the smaller bike around. There's Brandis closing up some ground here as they head through a little bit of the mud here on the Binghamton course. Two very different lines that time.
Yeah, you know what? The thing about this race that I find really interesting is all three of those guys up front, Hughes, Brandis, and Mike Brown, none of them are on factory bikes. And tells you something about Binghamton. This is a rider's track. You come here, you just get on the pipe, and you got to be careful because there's a lot of jumps, there's a lot of ruts, there's a lot of rocks. And as you can tell, there's a lot at stake here today.
We haven't talked about Mike Brown very much. He's running third. We're watching the two leaders, Ryan Hughes and Michael Brandis, going at it in front of a huge crowd at Binghamton. Boy, you were right. They really come out here in force.
Yeah, they've had races here for a long time. I believe that ever since probably the early 1980s, they've had a national here. And every year, this race just gets bigger and bigger. Like I said, they do a good job of giving the people what they want. It's kind of quasi-stadium, but the fans love it.
Ryan Hughes, a little bit of a scare there from Brandis, who moved up around the outside, but Hughes got the better drive off the turn and maintains about a 3 or 4 bike length lead here, and he seems to be riding very comfortably.
We'll have to see what Brandis does. The one thing that Brandis has going for him is he has absolutely nothing to lose. He's trying to get the attention of some teams right now. Rhino, on the other hand, national championship at stake. I know he doesn't want to get into a shoving match with that kid. It could cost him dearly in the points.
Well, it seems like Hughes is riding a lot more within his ability, but Brandis has taken a lot of risks. Sometimes they pay off a little bit and he closes some ground. At other times, like we saw just then, he took a little bit of a chance and it lost him some territory.
Yeah, you know, Ryan's not a factory rider just yet, but he's been around the circuit a lot. He's been in these tracks. He knows how to lead these races. Brandis, on the other hand, he's probably just enjoying every minute of this. So let's just hope they can make a last to finish. We might have another upset here in the 125 National Series.
We get a glimpse of Mike Brown every now and then on his red Honda, but so far it's been these two. And with the whole shot, Ryan Hughes continues to lead. Although Brandis has challenged from time to time, they have stayed just about this far apart. The size of this crowd continues to amaze me.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you notice the track is getting a lot rougher, I think that we've had some good weather in this area the last few weeks, and it's allowed for the riders to really build a lot of lines. Look at all the berms coming out of that corner.
Well, Hughes with the inside line, Brandis on the outside, almost side by side on the jumps. A terrific race between these two guys, and now we understand Mike Brown has faded back, and instead it's his teammate Mike Craig who's running in third spot right now.
Yeah, this is a bad time for Mike Brown to be having problems. The series has only got 4 motos to go. Every point counts.
These two guys still going at it, and Mike Craig is watching a heck of a race from his third spot. There he is, just sneaking into the picture, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him. The number 19 Honda of Mike Craig now definitely in third spot as these two guys go at it. Let's take a look now at the Suzuki Field Summary. Ryan Hughes, Mike Brandis, Mike Craig, there they are. Steve Lamson, if he's on the move, he's got some spots to make up. Everybody to Broome-Tioga Sports Center in Binghamton, New York. I'm Brian Drebber along with Davey Coombs in the booth. Art Ekman's down at ground zero in the pits, and you're looking at one heck of a 125cc race with Ryan Hughes still out in front, Mike Brandis, and now Mike Craig taking over second spot. Nice move there.
Yeah, I had a feeling this is going to happen. The factory guys and the semi-factory guys are starting to pull up, and they're going to push these privateers out. This is a really, really vital round of the National Series. And I have a feeling that Craig's passing of Brandis is only the beginning for the guys who are coming up behind him.
Mike Craig now firmly in second spot here. Ryan Hughes continues to lead. Let's see if Craig has got anything for the man who has led from the start of this race. And look at here, Damon Huffman makes his first appearance among the leaders.
Huffman on the Suzuki. Looks like he's going to be the next guy to move on Mike Brandis. Huffman was a points leader way early in this year, and yet he never won a race. And that's something that has come back to haunt him at the end of the series. He's 13 points down with 4 motos to go.
Makes the pass for second. Talked about Mike Brown a while ago. Let's see if we can find out what happened to him. Here's Art Ekman.
Well, Jeff, Mike just left here. What was the problem?
I think he got back in the back section. He must have went down in the corner. He bent his clutch perch all the way around where he couldn't clutch it. It came in. We just moved it back up.
Does he need to come in again?
No, he should be all right. Most part for him right now is just to ride conservative and just pick them off one at a time.
All right, there is number 53, Mike Brandis, and sneaking into the picture. I'm sure the local crowd's going to love this. Scott Sheik, he's kind of the favorite around here.
Look at behind those guys. That's Steve Lamson. He is going to be headed right toward the front. You can bet the number 5 Honda will be up there at the end.
And here's Mike Brandis running fourth right now. Ahead of him, of course, passed just a few moments ago was Damon Huffman. Mike Craig second, and out front it's still Ryan Hughes in this first moto. There's a good look at Damon Huffman on the Suzuki, and here's Mike Brandis again.
Brandis is probably having more fun than he's ever had in Pro Motocross National, but I'm telling you, it's not going to last much longer. These boys going for the national championship are coming up through, and they don't take any prisoners at this point in the year.
Steve Lamson on the move here, and he's certainly looking a lot more aggressive. Makes an inside move there on Brandis, knocking him back another spot.
Lamson's going to be charging right up toward the front. You can see he's going all out here. And
whoa! What was that? He jumped right over top of the hay bale there. That's a little bit of a snappy move.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not illegal, though. As long as there's not a banner there, you can pretty much jump those hay bales. You can see the banner down on the far left, and that is it's a gutsy move for Steve Lamson.
And Brandis goes around it. Here comes Scott Sheik. He goes around the thing. Nice move there. Not sure if it gained much, but it sure was a bold one. Looking once again, now it's second and third. That is Mike Craig on the Honda, and right behind him, of course, Damon Huffman running third right now. Out front, it's still Ryan Hughes, and he has had a lead that he has not given up and never even been challenged so far.
Yeah, Hughes has got a couple national wins this year so far, and of course, like I said, he won at Unadilla. He likes this kind of track.
That didn't look comfortable.
You can tell how rough the track is getting and see if that affects Huffman at all. When you do something like that on a bike, it really tends to mess up your concentration and your momentum. You may lose a second right there, but later on it might come back and hurt you.
Huffman dropped into a hole right there and kissed the handlebars. And once again, we're looking at Mike Craig running in second spot. Ryan Hughes, pretty much color him gone out in front. Mike Craig working hard, though. We'll see if, and there we just caught a glimpse of the leader, Ryan Hughes, out of sight there. We'll have to see if Mike Craig can close up some ground on the leader, Ryan Hughes. Likewise, Damon Huffman.
And look at Lamson coming down the inside. He's come up from way back. I'm not sure how he started. As you can see, he's got himself up into fourth place right now. I have a feeling that this battle is going to take them up to Mike Craig's back wheel.
So, two of the points contenders going at it here, Damon Huffman and Steve Lamson. Great race between these two guys. We're going to keep an eye on them right now.
You know, Huffman has been in title contention all summer long, but he's got to win some races. He's got to get an overall. He's got to get some moto wins if he's going to compete with Hughes and Lamson for this title.
Lamson with a nice blocking pass on the inside there, just shut Huffman off, and now Lamson takes over third place, and it's going to have to be Huffman to see if he can run down the red bike. Speaking of red bikes, let's check in quick with Art. He's with Lammy's mechanic, Mike Gosler.
Well, Mike's starting out 15th. This is the way you'd like to see it, but now he's only something like 4 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, you know, it's just too hard to come from behind. All the time he's made up, if he would have got a good start, he'd be that much further out in front by now.
Well, he's made up at least 2 seconds, 1 second here and there every lap.
Yeah, on the last lap, he made up 2 seconds on Hughes, so hopefully he'll continue, and we'll be up there in a couple of laps.
Hey, what's going on there? Jeff Pistano probably could have found a better place to park than that.
And that's Pedro Gonzalez. He's riding a Honda now. Pedro started out the year on a Yamaha, riding for NCY, had an injury. It looks like he's privateering it now for the rest of the National Series.
Well, he's not doing much riding at this moment either. That's a bit of bad luck for Pedro. And now we're looking at Brandis once again here, and Scott Sheik. Sheik, the local favorite. The crowd's got to be loving this race for 5th and 6th. Nice tight battle here between these two. Brandis, of course, had been as high as 2nd place at one point.
Well, these privateer riders are riding for more than positions right now. They're also going after the $500 prize that's being offered this year at every round of the National Series by the people at Camel Racing and Skull Bandits.
So there's bucks on the line for these two. Scott Sheik looks like he reached over for a tear-off there and now makes a pass. Wow, a little bit of relaxation on Brandis' part. Sheik went right by him.
I don't know if he was relaxed right there. It looks like Brandis might be getting just a little tired. You know, the guy put in a great ride. When you get a chance to get up there and lead a national and run with the front runners, you got to do all you can. And, well, he might not be done yet.
Exactly. Looked like he's coming back with that inside move. Repasses for 5th spot. This is the best race on the track right now. And we'll be back to it in a minute as we look at our Suzuki Field summary. It's a little bit different down towards the bottom. Ryan Hughes still leads. There's Scott Sheik ahead of the second 5. And we'll be back in a moment. There is Mike Brown, and he doesn't look much like he wants to race his motorcycle. The bike seems all right. It's got to be a problem with the rider.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a really bad time for Mike Brown to have something like that happen. He came into this race 6 points down from Hughes, had a realistic shot at a national championship, but I think that's going to put a damper on it.
Well, the good news is, of course, there's 2 motos here today, but the first one is going to be pretty much a wash for Mike Brown, who had been a points contender early in. Now Ryan Hughes is getting a little bit of a challenge, and a couple of Hondas perking up behind him now.
Yeah, the Honda closest to him is Mike Craig. He's on the Honda Troy team. Tell you what, Mike is having probably his best race of the year right now to this point. He's trying to get something set up for 1996, I'm sure. And a good performance here at Binghamton, and next week at Steel City in the final national year will probably go a long way to making sure he still has a job.
Ryan Hughes may be feeling the pressure for the first time in this race. First by Mike Craig, and then, of course, coming up behind is Steve Lamson. He's got to be worried about that guy. Lamson, of course, doing a very good job throughout the season here. Ryan Hughes continues to hang on to the lead, though. He really found a rhythm on this racetrack.
Yeah, Ryan looks really comfortable. You know, all 4 of those guys up front are from California, so their only familiarity with this racetrack comes from previous nationals here. And I know that Hughes has done well here, Lamson's done well here, but I don't know about Mike Craig. He spent last year in the 250 class, and he spent the whole day on his head. He crashed in the first turn with his teammate Todd DeHoop. So for him to come out here and ride this well, that's pretty impressive for Craig.
Got to ask, is Lamson just watching the other 2 and waiting for one of them to fade tire or make a mistake? He looks pretty comfortable there in 3rd spot. He doesn't seem to be pressing too hard. Seems to be content where he is. Hey, look at this. Mike Brown, he's not racing anymore, and looks like he's going behind the fence there. The day's over for Mike Brown.
Oh, man, this one's going to be a costly one for Mike. He went the whole National Series without a DNF. Now he's in the pits, first DNF in, 22 motos.
Well, that'll pretty much tie off the season for him, just as number 5, Steve Lamson, makes a pass for 2nd. Well, maybe it's wait no longer for the number 5 machine.
Yeah, it looked like Craig just pulled over and pretty much gave him the room to go by him.
For more on Mike Brown's apparent DNF, let's go down to the pits and Art Ekman.
The points race looks like it's now a 2-man ball game with the leaders of this race. Mike Brown leaving the track as we speak. That crash not only bent up his bike, but as Jeff Nutter, his mechanic, left running toward the pit area, he was pointing to his chest back at me, indicating that Mike Brown might have re-injured that sternum. A DNF quite likely could mean he's out of the points race.
Well, I'm not Mr. Math, but I'd have to say he is out of the points race with a DNF here in the moto. Oh, Mike Craig with a bobble there. Is he getting tired?
Yeah, I think he might be. You know, when he let Lamson by earlier, I was thinking maybe it was because it was a fellow Honda rider, but maybe Mike's just getting a little tired, and rather than get in there and mess someone up who's going after the national title, he just pulled and let Lamson by, but that crash was all his own fault.
All Ryan Hughes in moto number 1 here at Binghamton. Let's take another look at Mike Craig.
This track at Binghamton, very unforgiving. You can see as this moto has gone on, these berms have gotten just a little deeper. They got more square edges on them, and you're going to see the real good riders start coming up to the front of the pack. And right there we see it's now Hughes, Lamson, and Huffman.
Well, Lamson starting to make perhaps the first real challenge of Ryan Hughes' lead that has been going on since the very start of this first moto. Ryan Hughes has got to be getting a little bit tired out there, but boy, he sure has had a smooth line. And up until now, really hasn't been challenged by anyone that looked like they could take the lead away from him.
Well, it looks like Lamson might be that guy. He's pulled right up on Rhino.
We'll have to wait and see what happens. And as we take...
Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
Welcome back to Binghamton, New York. Brian Drebber, Davey Coombs, and Art Ekman enjoying the 125cc National. This is moto number 1. And Lamson is really putting on a challenge right now to Ryan Hughes, who has led from the very start of this race.
Yeah, the thing about leading a race this long is after a while you start to get a little bit complacent because you get the pressure, you don't know who's behind you, and you don't know what lines they're using to catch up with you. And as we can see, Lamson is caught right up to Hughes, and it looks like he's bringing Huffman with him as well.
Well, Lamson has played a very patient game. You would expect that from a pro like him, and now he's really challenging, makes the pass, the first pass for the lead in this moto today. So now Lamson has taken over the lead on his Honda, moving Ryan Hughes back to second place. Damon Huffman starts to come into the picture, and perhaps it is going to be Ryan Hughes having all he can handle from Damon Huffman now.
You know, Hughes and Huffman are going to be teammates next year for Kawasaki, but there's no love lost between those two guys. We saw them in the 125 Western Regional Supercross Series, just banging each other around everywhere. Not a lot of friendship there, and you can bet that if Huffman can get up there and play the spoiler today, push Hughes back a little further in the point standings, he's going to.
Well, Ryan Hughes trying to make a challenge. Then he had a bobble there, got both feet off the pegs, and now Lamson looks like he's really the guy on the move, trying to check out. Here comes Huffman.
Well, I don't know what's wrong with Ryan Hughes. Usually he's really strong at the end of a moto, but it looks like today he's got his hands full. He's already had Lamson go by him, and it looks like Huffman's pulled right up behind him as well.
Huffman starting to challenge on the Suzuki now, trying to make another inside move. Hughes still holding him off. And look at Lamson, man. He is checking out in a hurry.
Lamson's trying to hold on to Honda's national championship trophy. They've had it for a couple years now with Doug Henry. The Henry's up to 250 class, and if they want to hold on to this, it's going to be up to Lamson.
Wow, Damon Huffman trying outside, inside, and every which way he can go. Still hasn't been able to get around Ryan Hughes. Hughes holding tenaciously on to second spot. This is a great battle for what looks like is going to be the runner-up spot in this first moto.
Yeah, you know, the only thing missing right now is Mike Brown. He was the fourth title candidate. We know he's in the pits right now, but look at this battle for second place.
Side by side, Huffman makes the pass. Will it stick? No! Look at these guys banging on each other.
I told you, those guys don't necessarily like each other. They're both extremely talented, extremely fast, and they got a lot to win here today.
Tim Ferry looks like he's ended his day as well.
Yeah, Ferry busted his arm at Troy, Ohio. I remember back in July, he crashed off a jump, got hit by another bike, and he was a title contender to that point, but like Brown, looks like he's out of this moto early.
Tough break for Tim Ferry, and look, you can see the disappointment in his eyes as he tries to pretend like that arm's okay, but it's not. Back to the battle for second, Ryan Hughes. There is Steve Lamson out in front, and coming up behind, Damon Huffman, who has challenged but has not been able to make a move stick.
Yeah, you can see Huffman right there ducking the roost that Hughes is throwing back at him. Maybe that last little confrontation they had about a half a lap ago is going to give Hughes all the breathing room he needs.
Whoa, going around the hay bale there. Damon Huffman taking an unusual line, trying to stay out of the roost. And now look at these guys, one on one side, one on the other, and Huffman still not able to make that inside move work just yet.
And now that we're in the closing moments, it looks like Huffman's really going to pull out all the stops. Lamson's just a little bit in front. If he can get by Hughes, he's still got time to try and pull off a moto win here.
Huffman trying to work the outside line on that turn, and it didn't work any better, so Ryan Hughes still hangs on to second place. Terrific battle here behind the leader, Steve Lamson. Are these two guys hurting their chances of taking the win by racing against each other like they are right now?
Yes, they are. You can see that Hughes is definitely not riding at the same pace he rode earlier in the moto. They've allowed Lamson to get away, and now Huffman is running out of time to move up into his own challenge for the lead.
Well, it's not for lack of trying. Damon Huffman has tried everything he can to get around Ryan Hughes. Hughes has been able to fight him off so far. The race for second and third as Steve Lamson is really checking out right now. We get into the last lap of this first moto, and it's still Ryan Hughes, Damon Huffman racing for second and third.
You know, with Brown out, this is a real good opportunity for Steve Lamson to make some more points. And if Huffman, and there he goes, if Huffman can make this pass on Hughes' stick, and he has, it's only going to help Lamson even more in the championship picture.
Well, he has for now. We've seen Hughes come back after getting passed for second, but I don't think it's going to happen this time. It appears as though Damon Huffman has made the move, and there's Steve Lamson on his way to the checkered flag in this very first moto. Little showing off for the crowd. He's going to take the win, and it appears as though Damon Huffman's second place is secure. He'll go in the runner-up spot. Steve Lamson, Damon Huffman, Ryan Hughes, the top three. Scott Sheik, the local favorite, moved up all the way to fourth spot. Michael Craig faded and stayed in fifth spot. Let's go down to the winner's circle. Here's Art Ekman with the first moto winner, Steve Lamson.
First of all, tell me about the move in the first place after a great comeback.
Yeah, I just kind of caught up to Ryan there at the end and just went on the inside of him coming down the downhill. I figured that's the only place I had to pass him that was It was a good pass. I didn't think he was gonna stick it there, and we kind of bumped a little bit, but I had the advantage because I was on the inside. So I just rode a hard race and didn't get that great of a start. So I was kind of worried at first. And I just played it cool and didn't do nothing dumb the first few laps.
Well, you just got through mentioning to me with that dirty smile, this is the way you should ride.
Yeah, it is. It's like I was a few races ago, and that's where I need to be right now.
Only 2 points off the lead, one more moto to go.
Yep, I'm going to just try not to think about that and go out and just hammer it.
All right. Lamson's win, combined with the DNF of Mike Brown, has moved Steve Lamson to within 2 points of Ryan Hughes.
Ryan, I guess the first question is, what happened? Did it pump up a little bit?
Yeah, I got a good start, and I started pulling away a little bit, and I just started riding a little tight, you know. I mean, I rode a little tight. That's all I could do. I mean,
well, you're still in good position. You still have the points lead, and you're number 3 this time.
Yeah, Lamson rode good. I had no fight for anybody. My arms pumped up, and that's all I could do. I tried my best, and I tried to make my Cowie get to the first place, but that's all my fault this moto. Next moto, I'm going to get a bottle of kick-ass from Cytomax and do it again.
We'll be back to bring you moto number 2 from Binghamton right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Ruts today. As you can see, Jeff Emig here at a scene from the Hangtown National early in the year. Check out the ruts on the takeoff of this jump. Doesn't bother Emig, keeps it straight, keeps it fast, and pulls right up beside 3-time world champion Greg Albertine. And watch Kyle Lewis going in through these braking bumps into a tight corner. Watch his back wheel. Lewis is riding on the back brake as much as he can, keeps his foot up. Right there, he drops it out for a little bit of balance. He's going to accelerate out. But the thing is, keep your wheels in those ruts and keep it pointed straight. That Sizzler, no lean rider, Kyle Lewis doing a masterful job through another one of those Hangtown ruts. Now here's Emig again. Watch this. We're going to have a whole bunch of 250 Pro riders coming out through these ruts. First is McGrath. Keeps it straight, keeps on the brakes. Here comes Lewis again right behind him. Same thing. Dowd. These guys know that whenever you get cross-riding in a corner, get cross-riding on a straightaway, it is disaster. Now watch Kudrowski this time go on the outside, trying an alternate line with McGrath. Punches into the corner a little bit too hard here. It's going to push him out, but still, you got to be ready to keep the bike straight. And his front wheel lifts out just a little bit, and you can see Jeremy pull away on the inside. That's just not Kudrowski's best corner, but still doesn't lose too much time. For this week's Honda Riding Tip, I'm Davey Coombs.
Tim Ferry's getting ready for the second moto. We saw him DNF in the first moto, arm troubles, and looks like he's going to give it a try. Once again, the riders being shown the 30-second board. And as it tilts, we know we are going to be underway in a matter of moments. The gates drop, and here they go.
Looks like it's going to be Lamson this time on the Honda out front. Watch Huffman on the inside sneak around.
Little bit of bobbling there deep in the field and coming around hard on the outside. Damon Huffman with a good start. Another guy goes down, trying to stay out of the way. Everybody coming over here. You got to be worried about it. And Michael Craig, tough break for him.
That is the second year in a row Mike Craig has crashed off that jump here at Binghamton.
So after a fine finish in the first moto, Mike Craig has got his troubles early on. Don't even know if he's going to be able to continue. As we look at the leaders here, some new faces starting to show themselves up front, although there's Michael Brandes again, who had challenged in the first moto.
Yeah, that was Mikel Pichon we saw up front, and I believe Huffman, and there's Buddy Antonez. He's a privateer Honda rider out of California. Brandes, and where's Lamson? Looks like he had the whole shot there back a moment ago, but got pushed outside. Now he's going to have to buy some spots.
Number 101, Mikel Pichon with the early lead here. Didn't even see him in moto number 1. So what a difference just a little while makes here in Binghamton. Moto number 2. And Buddy Antonez with a little bit of trouble there. Opens the door for Damon Huffman, who slides right on by.
Now there's Pichon out front again. A lot of people talking in the pits about Pichon possibly moving back to France next year. But we'll have to wait and see if that pans out. And here's Kevin Windham. He's had a not-so-great year.
Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble, and his woes continue. He's back underway, but he's lost a lot of ground. Upside down, and definitely not pointing the right way here.
Yeah, that's Jason McCormick, number 51. He had a podium finish at Washougal a few weeks back in front of his hometown crowd. Doesn't look like he's having the same luck here at Bingham.
The Broome-Tioga Sports Center race course handing out a few spankings here in moto number 2. Steve Lamson, the first moto winner, running third right now.
He's got to get around Huffman if he's going to be able to get up there and challenge Pichon for the lead.
So 2 of the points contenders running second and third right now. Mikel Pichon in the lead. A little bit of a bobble right there. Here comes Damon Huffman on his Suzuki, makes a pass. Whoa, well, he does make a pass for the lead there. They were side by side for a moment. Well, we got a new leader in Moto 2.
You know, Pichon's at a slight disadvantage at these outdoor nationals. He's racing in America for the first time this year. Guys like Lamson and Huffman, they know their way around these tracks.
Well, Pichon has seen this track, but only once before, and that was in Moto number 1. As we take a look at the Honda field summary, Damon Huffman leads it, and we'll be right back here with more action from Broome-Tioga Sports Center in Binghamton, New York. Moto number 2 in the 125cc Outdoor National. Brian Dreber and Davey Coombs up here in the booth. Art Ekman down there with all the action. And here we have our leader, Damon Huffman, who has shot out to a lead in the Moto number 2. And there, finally, we see Steve Lamson now, who is in 3rd spot. He can't seem to get around Pichon.
Pichon finished 7th in the first moto. It's not the best score for the Frenchman, but in the second moto, we'll see how long he can stay with these guys who did compete for the victory in the first time out.
Well, it looks like, nope, Pichon holds on. It looked like for a moment Lamson was going to get around him, but the Frenchman had the tighter inside line, got a better drive out of there, and he stays out front.
I noticed that time Lamson didn't jump over the hay bale. I wonder if there's an AMA official over there. Maybe the hay bale's got some rocks developing in it.
Well, one way to keep him from jumping over it would be to stand there in front of it, but I'm not sure anybody would want to do that. Okay, now it looks like Lamson makes the pass. Let's see if Pichon can come back on him. And out front, of course, it is our leader, Damon Huffman, who made an earlier pass of Pichon, and now it is Lamson who has done the same.
And Hughes has gotten himself up to 4th place, so if he can get around Pichon, we might have the same battle we had in the top 3 of the first moto.
Well, 3 of our 4 contenders are up there. Of course, Mike Brown had a DNF in the first moto. The story on Mike Brown, let's check in once again with Art Ekman, who is with his mechanic, Jeff Nutter.
Well, Jeff, I know Mike Brown is gutsy, but to be honest with you, I'm surprised to see him running second moto.
I'm not. You know, the kid's got a big heart, and he really had his heart concentrated. I mean, he wanted to win this title, and you know, we had a bad moto. We had only one, and several people had several bad motos, and he can still stick it out.
Well, stick it out he might, but the odds are certainly against him now mathematically of any chance for a championship. Pichon in 3rd spot there. And it looks like it is Ryan Hughes in 4th, as you mentioned a moment ago, Davey. And these 2 guys are, well, forget about it now. Hughes goes around.
You know, it's the 2nd lap in a row that Pichon has surrendered to position in that corner, but I'm not so sure that that one wasn't intentional. He and Ryan Hughes are teammates on Kawasaki Splitfire Pro Circuit this year. Pichon is not in a title hunt, but Hughes definitely has a chance at the national championship.
Well, if Pichon let Hughes go, now it's up to Ryan Hughes to try to track down the 2 leaders. The early leader in Moto number 1, he surrendered that position late in the first race, and now it is Ryan Hughes chasing from behind.
We'll see if Hughes has the energy that he didn't seem to have at the end of the first moto here in the second moto. But I tell you what, he was going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. You can see Lamson down at the bottom of the picture, and he's just now coming down the hill.
A lot of Binghamton real estate in between 3rd place and 2nd right now, so Ryan Hughes has got his work cut out for him. We take another look at the Honda field summary. Damon Huffman, the leader. Mike Brown in 5th spot. There's Scott Sheik in the local crowd. Tioga Sports Center, 2nd moto. You're looking at 5th place. Mike Brown right now. Of course, the good news is he's running 5th. He's moved up. The bad news is points race pretty much out of the question.
Yeah, Mike really lost a lot of ground that first moto, but you know what? He's doing the total hero role today. You know, his sternum's messed up. He's out there giving it all. He's riding in a lot of pain, and this track is rough. I guarantee he's feeling every bump.
Earlier, we touched on the special battle among the privateers. For more on that, here's Art Ekman.
As the season winds down, there is no question that the close points race is everything we anticipated and more. What we didn't realize at the season's start was that there'd be another important battle within the 125s. They look like a fraternity. They're all in the same boat. Privateers roaming from race to race, hoping that making the main event will pay for last week's expenses.
You're living from week to week. You know, the paycheck you make from AMA and Suzuki, who I ride for, contingency, is, you know, getting you to the next race.
Got a lot of expenses, you know, motel, food, you know, gas. You know, that all adds up.
When Camel Skull came up with the top privateer award, it made for a race within a race.
You know, I'm paying my own bills, and I'm traveling all over the United States, and it costs a lot, you know. When you get that privateer award and your name's out there and you get that $500, it sure means a lot.
Usually it's pretty tight between the privateers battling out for that privateer money, and not only does it give you $500, but it gives you a lot more publicity, which will help you out in the long run. So it definitely gives that little extra charge.
If we're having our own private battle, you know, we might be running, you know, 7th through 10th or somewhere around there, but we're running for like first place in our own mind. You know, we're keeping an eye on where they're at, you know, our pit boards and stuff. So even though we're, you know, maybe not battling for the win, we're battling for the, you know, the win of the privateer award.
It means a lot to us because you get to get up there on the podium with the top 3 guys, and little recognition for all your sponsors and everything else.
That extra $500 per race for the top privateer and $5,000 bonus at the season's end will go a long way in helping those who most need the help. Back to the booth.
It looks like Scott Sheik, much to the delight of his hometown crowd here, is the front runner for that privateer money. $500 in his pocket if he can hold on where he is. We're looking at a battle for the lead here right now, and it's Damon Huffman trying to hold on. Of course, he took the lead a while ago, getting a challenge right now from Steve Lamson. Of course, Lamson was more than equal to the challenge in Moto 1.
You know, it's real important right now for Huffman to win this moto. It would give him his first overall win of the year, give him a lot of momentum going to the last round next week, and right now, to be honest, he needs every single point he can get.
Well, he's certainly trying as hard as he can and being stalked rather deliberately, I might say, by Steve Lamson. Lamson showed a lot of patience in the first moto, Davey. Is that what he's doing here?
Yeah, you know what? The one thing about Lamson, 24 years old. He's older than most of these guys. He's been around the block a few times, and he wants this national championship badly. Honda has a long tradition winning the 125cc class. This time, their hopes lie on Steve Lamson.
Lamson 24, Damon Huffman, the leader, is 19. I'm a big fan of the old expression that age and treachery will outdo youth and enthusiasm. We'll just have to wait and see if it works here. Lamson running hard in second spot and closing some ground on the leader Huffman there, and doing it very methodically, I might add.
You know, this is one of those cases where two guys make a breakaway from everybody. It helps them out. It's early in the moto. They can get away. They find some good lines. No one's close enough to see where those lines are. And late in the moto, the other guy's just not going to have enough time to catch him.
Well, now, wait a minute. Back up to the last moto, we saw a race for second that was working against two guys. And here you're saying a race for first is working to their advantage over the race behind them for third?
Well, the guy out front the first time made a break by himself. Whenever you do that, you tend to get slow toward the end of the moto. You start riding cautiously.
Damon Huffman throwing caution to the wind here, taking the big outside line, but snaking through on the inside comes Steve Lamson, and it just may be that this guy has bellied up to the checkout counter one more time.
You know, that was a huge pass because right there, Steve Lamson just took over the points lead, the 125 National Championship Series. With Hughes riding third and Huffman riding second, right now Lamson holds a 3-point lead if the race finishes the way it is.
Well, that's easy for you to calculate up here in the booth. You got to wonder if Lamson doesn't have a little calculator on the handlebars down there. And he's already just, well, was that showing off or was he fixing his goggles there?
Now, he was definitely fixing his goggles. Lamson was behind Huffman for a while, gets out front, gives him a chance to pull his roll off, clears vision, and now he can just look for the checkered flag.
Well, he's got a clear view of it right now, it appears, and Huffman running in second spot. This is the same view that everybody had of Steve Lamson late in moto number 1.
Again, this is a really important moto. There's only 2 motos left in the series after this. Lamson's going to have the points lead, and after coming back from 61 points down like it was earlier in the year, you can bet he's going to have a lot of confidence going into the season finale. Let's just see if he can hold on to this one.
Lamson trying to write a fairy tale story for the 1995 season. Here's another look at the Honda Field summary. Steve Lamson out in front again, and Mike Brown still running 5th. There's Scott Sheik looking good for $500 of bonus money here today, and we'll be right back to Binghamton. And Art Ekman in Binghamton, New York, in the closing laps of moto number 2 here in this 125 National. Steve Lamson is out in front, but he is not running off like he did in moto number 1.
No, he's not, and that's not really that big of a surprise considering that's Damon Huffman behind him. At last year's National here, Huffman won the second moto with one of his best performances of the year. That time, Lamson's Honda teammate Doug Henry was going for the National Championship. So let's see if Huffman can do it again, play the spoiler here at Binghamton.
Steve Lamson out in front. You have to think that he's just as capable of riding comfortably, looking back as he was stalking the leaders and waiting for his opportunity.
You know, one thing about Lamson, whenever he got his act together after all those early problems, he put together a string of motos and overall victories. He got him right back up in title contention, and then at Washougal last week, didn't have such good luck, and that was a track he was favored to win on. He comes here, a track that Hughes is favored to win on, and just does totally opposite of what we expected. So this is kind of an upset, but at the same time, you know that Lamson has proven he can win anywhere.
Steve Lamson starting to run through the traffic here on his way to what would appear to be a double moto win here in Binghamton. Still working hard, and even as he gets into traffic now, is that going to cause him a little bit of trouble?
Yeah, that's always a problem. The way the AMA has the National set up now, there's blue flaggers everywhere on the track. You know, they can't be in every corner, but they are out there to help the leaders as much as they can. And they only give the blue flag to the leader, but give it to anyone in contention. So still, when you're the leader, you're the first guy that gets the lap riders. And if there's not a blue flagman there, you might not know that the guy coming up behind you is in fact the race winner, or I should say leader.
Lamson leading. He pretty cleanly got through traffic. Damon Huffman, of course, will have the same problem getting around the lap riders here. And we're taking a good look at what appears to be a double moto win for Steve Lamson. And as we pointed out just a little while ago, an historic pass for the lead in the points chase as well for the 24-year-old Honda rider from California.
Lamson's on his last lap right now, so it looks like you can, in fact, put that in the record books in pen.
Steve Lamson on his way to the checkered flag. What a great story if this guy is able to hold on and win the championship. He has never won a title, and even though he has put together a great string of victories here, the most recent of which are 2 moto wins here today, Steve Lamson has one more race to go this season before he can call the title his.
I tell you what, he is going to have all the confidence in the world going to the last race, but I know Ryan Hughes, that guy has said before that he will die if he has to win a national championship.
Steve Lamson pulls off the double moto win ahead of Damon Huffman and Ryan Hughes. The championship battle will go one more round. Scott Sheik ends up top privateer on the day. Art Ekman's down with the new points leader.
First of all, Steve, congratulations on capturing the points lead. It's still going to be a close battle all the way. But you really had to be careful in your battle with Huffman not to go down because Hughes was in an opportunistic mood.
Yeah, I knew that, and then I was thinking if he got by me, that's 3 more points I'd have lost. So I was thinking about them points a little bit, and I rode smooth, and I wasn't doing nothing dumb, and I rode ahead of Huffman just enough to keep him behind me. So
wonderful downhill pass. You broke late.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, I did that with Ryan in the first moto. I had a good line. My bike's working great down there, and I just got him on the inside again.
Get a good rest. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'll be there. Thanks.
And the top 10 overall finishers, of course, Lamson at the top of the pile, Damon Huffman, Ryan Hughes. Scott Sheik ends up 4th overall, Mikel Pichon, and the rest.
Damon, good consistent riding, good fast consistent riding. It sets you up for the last race of the year.
Yeah, I think that little time off that we had, I think it helped me out a little bit, and today I rode my hardest every single lap, and I felt great the whole time, but believe me, I rode my hardest, and Steve was right there, and you know, I couldn't get him today.
What are you planning on doing now in the off time before next week's final battle?
Probably my same routine, which is, you know, run a day, maybe mountain bike a day, and ride about every day, and that's about what I do, and it definitely worked good for today, but next week I'm going to have to try really hard because I haven't done very good at that track in the past, but hopefully I'll turn around and I have a good ride like today.
Coombs, you're quick with that calculator. There's the 3-point lead for Steve Lamson over Ryan Hughes. Damon Huffman just a little further back. Mike Brown, his chances, of course, pretty much in the plumbing for a championship this year. Here's Art once again.
Ryan, I know you're not the happiest person in the world. However, you're still within striking distance. Anything can happen. You got 2 more motos to go.
Yeah, anything can happen. You know, it's been like this the whole year, back and forth, and you know, no one's fault today except my own. You know, first moto I should have won that, but I rode tight. This moto, you know, I rode as hard as I could, and I guess they just had a couple different lines or a little bit more speed in me, but you know, I'll come back next weekend and give it all I got again. I've given it all I got this whole year, and I'm going to do it again.
With all the goodies on the line, are you planning anything special? Are you going to relax a little bit more? What's your off-week plans?
Well, this week, you know, I'm just going to ride, just do the same thing I've been doing the whole year. You know, just keep to my training program and, you you know, hopefully come away next weekend like Lammy did this weekend. You know, I like the track next weekend at Steel City, so you know, I'm just going to give everything I got. That's all I can do. That's all, you know, I can ask for myself is I give it 100%, and if it comes my way, it comes my way.
2 moto wins and a points lead for Steve Lamson. 1 race to go. What do you think, Davey?
Too close to call. Tell you what, Steel City next week, both these guys have been there. Both these guys ride fast. And with the national championship on the line, a first national title for either rider, I really wouldn't want to venture a guess as to who'd be the favorite.
Steve Lamson's slow climb to the top has him right where he wants to be with 1 race to go in the season. For Art Ekman and Davey Coombs, I'm Brian Drebber saying bye-bye from Binghamton.